welcome to Women in Retail Talks. I'm Marie Albajes, the Senior Editor of Women in Retail Leadership Circle. Today I'm joined by Emily Harpel, the owner of Art of Sucre, a gourmet cotton candy company that offers cart service and pre-spun favors. In this episode, we discuss how Emily taught herself the cotton candy business, how she grew Art of Sucre through TikTok during the pandemic, and how she set herself apart as a female business owner. Welcome, Emily, to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I heard on another podcast where they called you the Queen of Cotton Candy. So I hope that you're like totally embracing that title.
Listen, I feel like I answer to either the Queen of Cotton Candy or Cotton Candy Lady more than I do my own name. So we're definitely embracing it.
Cotton Candy Lady, I love it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the cotton candy that you sell at Art of Sucre and how the idea first came about.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not just your traditional cotton candy that you would find when you were growing up at a fair or a baseball game. It definitely has had a little bit of an upgrade, and no pun intended, but a unique spin on that traditional treat. So we do things like orange bourbon cotton candy, champagne cotton candy, watermelon, citrus punch. I mean, so many different flavor options that you couldn't even imagine in the cotton candy world, but we've also made it into something that's really an experience. So it's, again, not just something that you would have gotten in your childhood, but something that you can experience as a kid and as an adult. So we're really known for our cotton candy glitter bombs. So you drop these into anything clear and bubbly, whether it's a glass of Prosecco, champagne, Sprite, the cotton candy dissolves, edible glitter flows out, adding just a little bit of sweetness and a lot of sparkle to your drink. So it's really a whole different experience than you're used to when it comes to traditional cotton candy.
Yeah, and it's so pretty too. I mean, I've seen the pictures on Instagram and everything, and it looks delicious too. So I'm guessing that you're not just doing birthday parties anymore, right?
No, 100%. And when I first got the idea for it, I was actually planning my own wedding, and I was trying to come up with something to do for wedding favors. For whatever reason, that was the most challenging part of the wedding planning process for me. And I was seeing all of these really adorable upgrades for things like sugar cookies that are so beautiful. It was like a piece of artwork, and cake pops, like you name it. Every other dessert was getting that Instagrammable upgrade. And so I thought that cotton candy was being totally left out of that. And that's where the inspiration came from. But you're right, it is so much more than birthday parties. We have done weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, events like working with Elton John and Ariana Grande and Travis Scott. And now like a whole new world has opened up to us with this prepackaged thing we can ship internationally. It's been so much more than just birthday parties.
So, okay, tell me how you kind of got this idea and took it from like this tiny little idea to, actually getting an LLC and launching this business. I don't know if you have a business background, but what skills did you need to take it to the next level?
I like to tease that I've never actually had a real job because I started this business literally fresh out of college. My degree is psychology, so my background is definitely not in business. And the plan was to go on to graduate school. And through kind of a series of weird events and circumstances, my application ended up being put on hold as they filled the cohort. And so I found myself not having immediate plans to graduate school, planning a wedding, and then kind of trying to fill this void of time that I had before graduate school. So it was actually on the way back from my honeymoon. My husband and I got married very young, and very young to the point where we could not run a rental car. So we drove to our honeymoon, and it was a 20-hour drive. And on the way back, I looked at him and was like, so what are your thoughts on me starting a cotton candy company and not, to fill that void for graduate school? And fully expected him to be like, girl, you're crazy, go get a real job, because, that's a normal response to that idea. And he was 100% supportive and looked at me and was like, no, I really think you need to do this. So the original inspiration was to take cotton candy and do events. We would come, bring our cotton candy cart, pop up at really any event that you can think of, and spin fresh cones on site. And that is what I did for 4 years, actually, until the pandemic hit. And then I had no job and had to figure out a way to transition into the prepackaged things that you see now.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to ask about that as well, but I want to go back to, when you expected your husband to say like, girl, you're crazy, go get a real job. I wonder how often throughout your career in this, that kind of idea has come up and become like a roadblock where people aren't taking you seriously. And a man running this company would probably have a completely different experience than you. So walk me through any times that like that happened to you and how you overcame them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I like to say that I married one of the good ones, because every other time that I have shared that story with people, or shared what I do, I've 100% been faced with, I've literally been told, this is a direct quote. I was told by a man in business who has a franchise for donut shops, when I was, at the time talking about potentially franchising, that I should leave the business to the men. And I was so shocked in that moment that I didn't have an answer to that. I couldn't formulate a response. Now I have a lot of ways that I would like to respond to him, to that response. It happened actually just a couple of weeks ago. I was at a charity dinner and my parents were there. And of course, the question of, what do you do for a living? And part of me almost kind of takes a deep breath before I answer that, because people either get it immediately or they don't get it at all. And this gentleman, he was very kind, and he, was trying to understand what I do. And I, at some point kind of dropped in, we've got a lot of followers on TikTok, and to explain, it's not just this kind of like small thing that I do on the side. And he leaned over to my dad and asked him how much seed money he gave me to start the business. And my dad was so caught off guard, because he owns a business as well, and nobody's ever asked him that question. And so he was like, none, as a matter of fact. She's done it all on her own, but it's not really any of your business. And could you imagine asking a man that question when they started their business? Hey, did your parents give you seed money for that? So yeah, it has definitely happened a lot. Also, I get asked a lot, well, what does your husband do? Those types of questions. And sometimes I choose just to smile and, politely answer the question. And other times I choose to say things like, well, he works for me. And to be clear, he does not work for me, but I do feel like that is sometimes the best response to that, because it's wild to me. You would never ask a man, well, what does your wife do for a living, if you were confused about his job or how he makes money.
Right. I feel like you have to have like an entire arsenal of like responses and like confidence boosters to like respond, and like you expect them to say like, oh, well, that's cute. And you just have to have like an entire arsenal of like tools to get through those moments. Has it lessened at all since, you've been growing your business?
I think I have learned to pivot how I talk about it. So when I'm giving kind of that elevator pitch of the question of, what do you do for a living? I have found things that we have done that almost give validity to the business, which, to be totally frank with you, it upsets me that I have to do that. It's sad that I have to say things like, yeah, we work with the Cleveland Browns on a regular basis, to just almost be like, oh, okay, that's legitimate. What she does is legitimate. And it makes me feel sad that I had to do that. But at the same time, it tends to avoid a lot of those conversations, or a lot of the questioning about how did she get where she was type of thing.
Yeah. And I feel like so many women can relate to like having to validate their business when they're just starting out too.
No, 110%. It's gotten easier as time has gone on. But in the beginning, it definitely felt like I had to justify every step of the way what I was doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, this isn't like your traditional cotton candy, and you're not trying to be that, right? So how do you set yourself and your company apart? You've like, how did the idea for the glitter bombs come about? How do you kind of differentiate between just like the tubs of like pink and blue cotton candy in the stores?
Yeah, so I think the most obvious one is our flavors. They're unique. You cannot just walk into a grocery store and find eggnog flavored cotton candy, or honestly, even cotton candy in general. But if you can, like you said, it's just that pink and blue, and it's a very ambiguous flavor. You're not even sure what it tastes like. You just know it by the color. So that is 100% what we spend a lot of our time working on. I spend a lot of my time working on recipe developing, coming up with new creative uses for it, as well, as opposed to just eating it. So dropping it into drinks, decorating with it. We've done things like mannequin heads for events where the cotton candy is the hair, really thinking outside of the box. And a lot of that inspiration comes from just, personal creativity as well, but also, talking with people through, whether it's through social media or at events. The idea for glitter bombs came about because I was working an event. It was a charity event, and one of the flavors was champagne. And a couple of women came up to me and said, "What would happen if I were to drop this into a glass?" And I said, "It would dissolve and just make your drink a little bit sweeter." And so they started, literally, it was like a real life trend happening in real time. They started dropping cones of cotton candy. I had hundreds of people coming up to me literally throughout the evening saying, "I want that. I want that." And so from there, I went home that night and was like, how can I do this, but make it even more? And that's where the idea of adding the edible glitter came in, and really just started playing with it. So yeah, it happens from inspiration from events, building off of other people's ideas that they kind of give to us. People love to suggest flavor ideas, which is really fun because our audience feels like they're a part of what we're doing too.
And I know that you took to TikTok and Instagram and all the social media to market this. And I don't know if the other cotton candy companies are doing that, but I heard you say on another podcast that you're an introvert. And I'm an introvert as well. So I know how like painful it can be to like put yourself in front of the camera and on this social media app that like all the youths are playing with, and you don't know how to do it, but you're trying to promote your business. So, I mean, you did that and you were successful. What steps did you take to get there?
I have to really not think about the fact that literally millions of people are listening to my voice. On TikTok specifically, I don't put my face out there a lot, and that wasn't necessarily intentional in the beginning. But it's kind of this cool thing that's happened that people now know me by the sound of my voice, but have really no clue what I look like, which is pretty funny and feels good to me, as you said, because I am an introvert. So I really can't think about it too hard. But honestly, it came from a love of the app myself. When we were in quarantine, I was on TikTok all day, every day. Like I feel like the rest of us were. And it came from a place of, at the time, and even honestly now, but really at the time, you weren't seeing brands on there. Businesses really weren't taking advantage of it. And I saw that as a place of, this isn't going away. This isn't going to just be something that pops up on all of our radar and then blows off into the wind, at least not for a while. And so when I started posting, I teased that my first video that like really popped off and it got several million views is the dumbest video I've ever created. And I stand by that. It's literally just a video of my hands, and I am packing a bag of sugar as if I was going to a work event. And I don't know why anybody watched it. I don't know why 5 million people watched it. And it's just me voicing over of like, here's the extension cord that I bring with us. Here's the jar of sugar. Here's some cotton candy cones. And people were really, really interested and really took to it. And from there, it was just kind of a very steady upward trajectory. And it was not intimidating in the beginning. And I think that's why it's not intimidating now. And I really just try to disconnect. Also, I think it's different because it's a brand and it's not me. So if it's something for business, I feel like I can get outside of my box. I know what needs to be done, and I'm not an influencer. It's not me in my personal life. So I definitely have that very strong separation between the two.
Yeah, that's great. And so I'm guessing it also helped you kind of branch out from just like the weddings and birthdays that you were doing. I know you said you are now partnering with the Cleveland Browns, I think another Cleveland sports team. How did you kind of make that move from just doing events and weddings to now having kind of these corporate partners?
So we did a lot of corporate stuff previously, but it was on a much smaller scale. And honestly, at this point too, I feel like we've kind of earned a name for ourselves. So when we reach out to businesses, or a lot of times they reach out to us, almost everybody finds us through TikTok. It has been truly incredible. As a matter of fact, I just got back from New York City. We were there doing the Food Network and Cooking Channel's Wine and Food Festival. And you have to be invited, and they found us through TikTok. Like it's been incredible, like making those connections that I would not have been able to make previously by just doing events here in Cleveland, Ohio, which is also wonderful. And we've made a ton of amazing connections, but the TikTok space has definitely taken us just above and beyond what we could have accomplished just staying here. And also we do a lot of cold reaching out too. If we find other brands or other companies that we think we're a good fit for, we make custom pitch decks and we take the time and the research to send it out to them. So that's what we do with the Cleveland Browns. We literally did a custom deck with their branding on it, sent it out. We changed even like the names of our items, our cotton candy, to things that fit football terms, offense, defense, that type of thing. Sent it over. We had a meeting with them and they fell in love with it and they've ordered every week since.
Wow, that's amazing. And they just sell it like at games and stuff?
Yeah, so it's in their suites. They have it on their candy cart, and they also like we're going for Halloween and doing one of their big events. So they do a little bit of a combination of everything.
Wow, that's so great. Okay, so since it sounds like TikTok has been like a really good driver for businesses, what are some tips for other female business owners who are like seem very intimidated by the TikTok space? You know, what advice do you have for them?
I think as simple as this sounds, you just have to get started. So just posting one video, it is never going to be perfect. And the reality is you're going to look back on that video and you're going to cringe, but you posted it and that's all that matters. I also think it's really important too. TikTok is all about trends, but I think sometimes we can get caught up in trying to recreate those trends instead of just focusing on who you are, what your brand is, what you want to accomplish, and find your own little spot in that. Don't get too carried away and trying to recreate what everybody else is doing with the hottest songs, the hottest dances, all of those types of things, and really just focus on the message that you want to get across, sharing your story. And then I also say too, be vulnerable. One of the things that I have learned, especially on TikTok, that's different or like than any other social media site, is that just be honest. If you're having delays with shipping, if you're having delays with product, if you're launching something new and you're figuring it out, share all of that. There is such a beauty in that and something that is not over edited or over filtered that really endear people to you and people feel like they're a part of your story. And that is so important, especially for purchasing power and just overall honesty and being real about owning a business, because it's not always as glamorous as it seems.
Yeah, one of my favorites that you did was the like mistakes when you were trying to do the Cruella de Vil like themed glitter bomb, and you like posted, you know, like this was mistake number 1, this is like trial test number 2, and then you showed like the final product. And I love the transparency throughout all that.
Yeah, 100%. Because the reality is it doesn't come the first try. And I 100% do not know everything. I am learning every single day. And it's not fair to come off like I know 100% what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it makes your brand feel more human too. So I really like that. So what is something, maybe like a bad habit that you stopped doing as a business owner, and then something that you picked up as maybe a good habit?
Ooh, I love that. I really like to sleep a lot. And anybody that knows me knows that like I can fall asleep literally anywhere. It is like a personality trait. And that's not always a good thing, especially when you're owning a business. So when I was doing events, it was a little easier to be able to, you know, sleep in during the day. And I'd always try like every year, I'd be like, no, like this is the year I'm going to start getting up and like having my life together and making sure that I'm out of bed by this time, all the things. And launching this online store and pivoting and really growing the business has forced me to definitely have much more of a set schedule. And to be honest with you, it's been really good for me. It's been really good for my mental health. It's been good for my physical health, all the things. So that is one habit that I am very thankful for, because previously I was not so great at that.
I thought you were going to say I just stopped sleeping because I own a business now.
I mean, also in the beginning, yes, that is true. But right now I am getting like a solid like 7 hours a night. So that's good.
Good. So I guess that could also be your good habit that you picked up too.
Yeah. So it's kind of both. I broke one and picked up a good habit all at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. So what is some advice that you might give to a woman who has this idea for business like you had and just doesn't know where or how to start?
Google is your best friend. I think you will hear any business owner say that to you. Google is your best friend. I also feel like as women, we tend to get caught up in the comparison game. And that gets dangerous quickly. While it is so good to do your research and to see what other people are doing in the field, I also feel like it is so important to stay in your own lane, put your head down, and just do what feels right for you. You will get a lot of advice, unsolicited and otherwise, and that's okay to listen to it. But what's not okay is to go against your gut and just do what people are telling you to do, as opposed to doing what you think is best for the business. I also tell people too all the time that grow at your own pace. I, in the beginning, moved very slowly, and that was very intentional. And I am thankful every single day that I did that. I think there's this pressure to like sell out immediately or to get the ball rolling, and it happens overnight and it happens so fast. And that's just not true. It may appear that way to other people, but oftentimes it takes years and months of hard work and learning and dedication. And then that way, when you do have that success, you have all that information behind you that's really going to aid in that process.
So as you were kind of moving slowly through that growth, were you setting kind of more moderate goals? Did you have like goal A, and then if that didn't work, goal B?
100%. Absolutely. I think we're even experiencing that now. So we sell out very quickly when we launch things, and people are always like, why don't you have more? Why don't you have more? And obviously that's the goal, right? Like if we're selling out, the demand is there. We want to create more product and we're actively working on it. But I don't want to get myself in a situation where we have grown too quickly, where the quality of the product has gone down. I no longer have control. I mean, we make everything by hand. I no longer have control over what goes out my door. So there's things that are, I think it's wise to wait and to do growth in a steady way, as opposed to just exploding and making all of these decisions so fast without all of the information.
Yeah, that's great. So what's next for Art of Circle? I know what's your kind of big vision? I know you've got online sales, you can ship internationally, I think, or you may be on your way to that. So what's next?
We are getting a new studio space here very soon, which I'm so excited for. People don't know this or realize this, but we work out of like a 200 square foot studio to make all of our product right now. It's my original studio from when I was doing events, and we have made it work. We're getting a 2,500 square foot studio here in a month. So we're completely remodeling that. It's going to allow us to have so much more product, do it, in stock all the time, less launches, just have a steady online store. We're also really looking forward to expanding our collections and partnering with other businesses, which is going to be something really exciting that we have coming up, just as well as continuing to not lose sight of what the original vision is for the company and really putting that fun spin on cotton candy and coming up with bigger and creative ideas for it.
Yeah, that's so great. Okay, last question is, what do you do when you're not running this business and making cotton candy?
I read, which is a boring answer to that question.
I love that answer.
But I have read like 150 books this year, and I do it through like my Kindle app on my phone. And like, please do not think that I'm like out here reading like business books. Like it's all very much for pleasure. And it's like a wide range of different genres and things like that. But that is my go-to, either that or I am rewatching Gilmore Girls for like the 800th time. So really you can find me doing one of two things.
Do you have any book recommendations that you've read lately?
Oh gosh, I feel like the go-to one lately has been Untamed by Glennon Doyle. But listen, even if you're not like a big self-help person, read that book. It is really, really, really good.
Yes, I read it and now I listen to their podcast all the time. So very good recommendation. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Emily. Where can people find your cotton candy?
So we made it super easy. All of our handles are literally the same. It's just the business name. So it's Art of Sucre, SUCRE. You can find everything there: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. Our website is just .com, everything.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast channel as well. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.